What is the location of Egypt and the areas that belong to that territory?
Egypt is a country with a length and width of 1,024 kilometers from north to south, 1,240 kilometers from east to west, separated by the Mediterranean Sea in the north, Red Sea in the east, Sudan in the south and Libya in the west. The territory of Egypt includes the lower part of the Nile Valley and the Nile Delta, the Arabian Desert and part of the Nubian Desert to the east, the Libyan Desert to the west and the Sinai Peninsula north of the Red Sea. Surrounded by the Mediterranean Sea to the north, the Red Sea to the east and desert areas to the west, Egypt is a country that has received good natural protection since ancient times.
Egyptian civilization was born from which river?
The main reason that led to the emergence of a great civilization in an area covered by deserts and with a dry climate was the location of the Nile River. The Nile River is about 6,650 kilometers long. The Nile River, which begins near the equator in East Africa, travels north along the Red Sea, passes through Egypt, and flows into the Mediterranean Sea. Herodotus, who came to Egypt around 450 BC, claimed that Egyptian civilization was a gift from the Nile. The Nile is fed by spring and summer rains in East Africa. Thus the soil in the lower part of Egypt is fertile as the river overflows from June to October of the year. Because the banks of the Nile are not higher than in Egypt, the river water can be used for irrigation in the surrounding area. Thus, due to the location of the Nile River, the valley and the surrounding areas have created a suitable background for agriculture. A fact that influenced the ancient people to be attracted to those areas.
What is the period before the written evidence of the Egyptian civilization is found?
From about 3100 BC, the written evidence of Egyptian civilization begins the historical period. The period before that is generally considered as the prehistoric period of that civilization. The period in which man lived his life using stone tools before the birth of civilizations is known as the Stone Age. Information about the ancient human activities related to the three periods of the Stone Age, namely the Pre-Stone Age, the Mesolithic Age and the Neolithic Age, is obtained from Egyptian civilization.
What are the two main areas that divide the area to explore the prehistoric era of Egypt?
Archaeological sites are scattered throughout Egypt. Because of this, researchers consider Lower Egypt and Upper Egypt separately when constructing Egyptian history. Here, the Nile Delta region from Cairo is considered Lower Egypt, and the section from that city to the Egyptian border to Sudan is generally considered Upper Egypt.
In which part of Egypt is the most evidence of prehistoric human activity found?
Most evidence of prehistoric human activity is found in Upper Egypt. According to the archaeological research conducted in Upper Egypt, information has been received about the prehistoric humans who lived by primitive hunting methods around 40,000 years ago. Also, parts of an ancient human skeleton found in Upper Egypt's Nezlet crater were confirmed to be 33,000 years old. According to archaeological evidence related to the Pre-Stone Age, the areas outside the Nile Valley that have become deserts today were covered with forests and grasslands in the past.
What is the oldest culture that existed in Upper Egypt?
Archaeologists have uncovered information about a people engaged in agricultural activities in the history of Egypt from the research carried out in the Fayum area near Lake Karen in Lower Egypt. Merimde, 25 kilometers northwest of Cairo in Lower Egypt, was first excavated in 1928. Further excavations were carried out in this area during 1970 to 1977. Accordingly, it was revealed that the ancient people of the Merimde area were engaged in fishing and agriculture in addition to hunting animals and lived in small oval houses made of clay. About 10 kilometers south of Cairo, Madi is another place where information about ancient Egyptian life has been revealed. The Madi who lived in small houses had used a separate place to bury the dead bodies, and a limited amount of goods were also buried with the dead bodies.
What is the oldest culture that existed in Upper Egypt?
The Tajan culture is considered the one of the oldest predynastic culture in Upper Egypt. The culture is known as Tajan culture because of the evidence received from the place called Deir Taza located in the east of the Nile Valley. Looking at the tools used by the Tajans, the culture is also related to the Neolithic period. The Tajans were a people who domesticated animals such as goats and sheep, cultivated grains such as wheat and barley, and were accustomed to an agricultural life. People belonging to this culture have used clay pots for cooking and other purposes. Red-brown pottery with a black top was first made in Egypt by the Tajans.
Which culture of Egypt is known as Badarian culture?
The Badarian culture is as old as 4400 to 4000 BC. The culture is known as the Badarian culture because of the evidence from al-Badari. The Badarians created black as well as red glazed pottery. They used a land reserved in the eastern part of their settlement to bury the dead bodies, and some dead bodies were wrapped in leather or linen mats and buried. The Badarians lived in small mud-walled huts. It seems that their residences were small villages.
What advanced culture arose in Egypt after the Badarian culture?
The next development in Egyptian human history after the Badarian culture is called the Naqada culture. This culture was discovered by research in the Naqada area, west of the Nile Valley in Upper Egypt. Due to the long existence of the Naqada culture and its spread over a large area of Egypt, the Naqada culture is divided into three phases: Naqada 1, Naqada 2 and Naqada 3. According to the archaeological evidence from the respective areas.
Which culture in Egypt was known as Amratian, Gerzeh and Semainean?
El Amra, south of Abydos in modern Egypt, contains the earliest evidence of the Naqada culture, hence the name Naqada 1, or Amratian culture. Information about Amratian culture is available from 4000 BC to about 3500 BC. Archaeological excavations at Gerzeh in Egypt's western Nile Valley revealed another advanced stage of the Naqada culture. Dating back to 3500 to 3200 BC, it is called the Naqada 2 or Gerzeh culture. Around 3000 BC, the period is known as Naqada 3 or Semainean, as there is information about a more advanced society of the Naqada culture.